breaking news right now at 6 a.m. Attack on Ukraine.
Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring.
Overnight, Russia begins its assault on Ukraine. And this morning, President Biden and other world leaders promise swift action against Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Oil prices jump. We connect the dots on how the crisis in Ukraine will impact your wallet at the pump.
And a learning loss. This morning, North Carolina leaders revealed just how bad the pandemic has impacted our children's education. A look at where they may be struggling the most.
And where's the money? This morning, the Better Business Bureau warns about how scammers are now pretending to be your boss. We have the warning signs to keep your money safe. Wake Up Charlotte at 6 a.m. starts right now.
And we begin with that breaking news this morning. Live pictures right now over Ukraine's capital, where just in the last few hours, Russian troops began their military attack in multiple cities in that country. And just in, NATO agreeing to beef up security when it comes to air, land, sea, all those forces right near the Ukraine-Russia border.
So this morning we're following the latest developments and we'll bring you them throughout the newscast. But first we're going to start with Larry Sprinkle with a look at your forecast on this Thursday morning.
Hey, good morning. Take a look at the radar picture north of here, especially in the mountains. We have some showers up there, moderate heavy rainfall in some spots north of Boone along 321 between Boone and Blowing Rock all the way down into areas into Caldwell County over towards areas in Burke County. Some light to moderate rainfall there. None of that here. We're going to take a look at Futurecast. I think most of the rain does stay north of here today. We're going to see patchy, even dense fog in the Charlotte area. Rainfall totals, once again, maybe 2/100ths of an inch at the very most here, but over an inch in places like Jefferson and West Jefferson. As far as rainfall for the next several days, it's really the weekend, Sunday, and then as we get towards the end of next week, maybe a few showers out there. Here's that hour-by-hour forecast for today. We're in the 50s all the way up till about 2 o'clock, near 60 for a high today, and then we stay in the 50s right through the evening hours. Big changes temperature-wise over the next several days. We'll check that full forecast coming up, but right now, let's get a check on the commute this morning. Got some issues on the streets. Here's Chris.
That fog is quite prevalent, especially on the back roads. Here's a look at I-77, though. Not a great drive. Now, visibility is ranging between about 1 and 2 miles. That's drivable, but still not great. But they could change on you in a hurry, especially if you go into some of those lower elevations, as fog likes to do a lot of this. Crash on Westinghouse Boulevard at Brookford Street. That is the most recent accident that we have here on the map. But again, fog is going to be the major issue. Look at some of these visibilities near zero in Wadesboro, Lancaster, and Chirac. Keep that in mind as you're heading out for your morning commute.
Chris, thanks. Now to that breaking news we've been following all morning long. Crisis in Ukraine. You can see here, there's a video of Russian tanks crossing the border after months of military buildup. So far, Ukraine officials say at least 40 people are dead. That has not been intimately confirmed at this point. But here's the latest as you wake up. Ukraine has declared martial law and cut off diplomatic ties with Russia. NATO now beefing up security forces. G7 leaders will meet this morning to discuss further action against Russia.
Okay, and look at this video from a resident in Ukraine, wow, showing explosions after Russian troops began shelling key locations around the country.
And this was the scene this morning in the capital of Ukraine. Heavy traffic building up as hundreds of thousands of people are trying to escape that city.
So this morning, President Biden says he has spoken to Ukraine's president, promising support for the people there.
And the developments keep coming. NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest from D.C.
Ben, President Biden will speak with G7 leaders to discuss severe sanctions on Russia and is expected to deliver remarks later today. Ukraine under fire this morning. Sirens wailing and explosions heard in major cities, including the capital, Kyiv. Long lines of cars with people trying to flee to safety. President Biden condemning Russia, saying Putin has chosen a premeditated war that will bring a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the attack on state TV in Russia, claiming it's intended to protect civilians. During an emergency meeting, members of the United Nations Security Council pleaded for peace.
At the exact time as we are gathered in the council seeking peace, Putin delivered a message of war.
He made a decision for a special military operation in the Donbass.
So I call on every one of you
to do everything possible to stop the war.
Ukraine's president declaring martial law, allowing curfews and the seizure of property, saying the future of Europe's security is being tested. The U.S. vowing support.
We're doubling down on our assistance to Ukraine itself, making sure, as we've already done, that we're providing additional security assistance, diplomatic support, economic, humanitarian support.
And reassuring NATO allies.
The world will hold Russia accountable.
The White House says today it will announce significant new actions to punish Russia. Later today, members of Congress will receive a briefing on the situation in Ukraine. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for Wake Up Charlotte.
Good morning, folks. Time now 6:05, and we're still getting lots of reaction on social media about this crisis in Ukraine. The Ukrainian president tweeting, Russia treacherously attacked our state. And as of today, our countries are on different sides of world history. Ukraine has embarked on a path of evil, but Russia has embarked on a path of evil, but Ukraine is defending itself and won't give up its freedom. Now, when it comes to the capital in Ukraine, this is the scene right here. You can see just how dark it is at this moment. Lots of prayers being sent to the people of Ukraine. One person saying Putin's speech was the most terrifying thing they've ever seen. You know, things unfolding in front of their eyes, just knowing that those people are just living in some of their devastating days at this point. One person saying we're living in one world. Please consider the children and the innocent people. We've already gone through many trials like the recent pandemic. We were united to fight for that. So, Ben and Sarah, obviously condolences going down to the people who've lost their families at this time and just are going through these dark days.
All right, Ruby, thank you. And of course, we will continue to follow the latest breaking updates all morning long on air and inside the WCNC Charlotte News app. You can download it right now to keep up with the latest news.
Today, North Carolina leaders will give an update on how the pandemic has impacted kids across the Carolinas. It comes after right here at CMS, students have already seen a drop in grades because of COVID impacts. Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Devane now live for us. And Richard, state officials say this report's not going to just focus on the students, but beyond that, it also focus on how their families and public schools have also responded so far during this pandemic.
Yeah, and it'll also focus on some of the steps that they need to take, Ben. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. One of the most important things that we learned during the pandemic, that schools were affected, those students and their parents and everyone affected, by the time that those students were actually away from class.
The numbers were expected, but at the time, CMS Superintendent Ernest Winston said the drop in students' grades and preparedness for college were unacceptable.
Challenges existed before the pandemic, but they have been worsened during these atypical times.
Last year, the district showed huge drops across the board in every subject, every grade level, and every racial group. At the time, CMS said it knew it had a big hole to dig out of, but vowed to do so. Today, the State Department of Public Instruction will talk about a study it's conducted to dig deeper into the effects of the pandemic on schools in the state, including the loss of instruction time for students during the 2020-2021 school year. The analysis is the first of its kind in the state and one of the first statewide studies conducted nationally, which analyzes the overall impacts of COVID-19 on public school units, students, and families. Locally, the district says it knows the pandemic hurt CMS, but it says at the time it's already taken steps it hopes will help get students back on track, but acknowledged that it'll be a long process.
We are going to be recovering for multiple years from the educational and instructional impacts.
Yeah, we should learn more about the methodology of that report sometime today. And then next week, we should get the full details of the report and a way that school districts can move forward to try to close some of those gaps. We're here in Charlotte. Richard Devane for Wake Up Charlotte.
Richard, thank you. 6:08 right now. Turning to more today's top stories in your morning rush. The North Carolina Supreme Court has approved the new redistricting maps from state lawmakers. It comes as Republican lawmakers and voting groups appealed last night's decision. After the Supreme Court's ruling, it means candidate filing can resume today, and the state primary will still be held on May 17th. The new maps will be in effect for the 2022 election as an interim solution.
Good morning. I'm Tradisha Woodard. Today, Governor Cooper and Mayor Lyles will visit a new electric vehicle charging station being unveiled today. Now, this comes after the Biden administration allotted $5 billion in federal funds to build electric vehicle infrastructure, with North Carolina receiving up to $109 million. The new charging station will be at the Ritz off Washington Heights, and they'll have a press conference today at 1:30 on the city's Facebook page highlighting the project.
A man accused of double murder in Rock Hill over 2 years ago is expected to be in court this morning. The York County Sheriff's Office says Jamar Neely shot and killed 2 men off Rivercrest Road back in 2019. Deputies also say Neely shot at them when they attempted to pull him over and arrest him that day. Neely's facing a number of charges, including murder and attempted murder.
9 months after the Lancaster police chief resigned, the interim chief announced his resignation during the city council meeting earlier this week. Philip Hall says he's leaving because city council continued to look for other candidates for the chief instead of giving the job to him. Lancaster council member Gonzi Mackey even walked out of the meeting in support of Hall. Until city council finds a new chief, the next in line for command at the department will fill in as interim chief. And that's it for your Morning Rush.
Larry Sprinkle, what is that one thing we need to know in weather?
One thing about the weather today, we got the clouds out there, we got some fog, temperature at 7 a.m. 59 degrees, advance the clock to about 3 this afternoon, in the upper 50s, maybe 60. Chris, what's the one thing we need to know about that commute this morning?
Larry, one thing you need to know is we have a brand new accident. This is in northern Chester County. This is at Edgeland Road and Westbrook Road. Newest accident out of 3. I'll mention all 3 of those, though, coming up.
Chris, thanks. After the break, Ukraine's crisis being felt here in the Carolinas. We connect the dots on how you'll be paying more at the pump as Russia continues its attack this morning.
And where's the money? This morning, the Better Business Bureau warns about how scammers are now pretending to be your boss. We have the warning signs to keep your money safe.
And all this month, WCNC Charlotte proud to be celebrating Black History Month by highlighting historical people and places in Charlotte and the Carolinas. Today, we're honoring a man you probably know. Harvey Gantt served as the first black mayor of Charlotte from 1983 to 1987. Before that, he was a member of city council. He was also the first African-American student admitted to Clemson University. Charlotte's Harvey B. Gantt Center for African-American Arts and Culture, named in his honor. Approaching 6:15, welcome back to Wake Up Charlotte. And if you are just now waking up and joining us, we are following breaking news this morning as we take a live look over the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv this morning, where Russian troops have begun their assault on Ukraine. Reports in the last 30 minutes of attacks there on the capital itself. Later today, President Biden and other world leaders are expected to announce new sanctions and punishments against Russia. We'll be covering the growing crisis there all morning and all day right here on WCNC Charlotte. And that includes how this fighting will impact your wallet. Sure, the conflict is well over 5,000 miles away from here in Charlotte. But this morning, we're connecting the dots on when we expect to feel the impact at the pump.
Russia's actions in Ukraine will cost us here at home. But how much? Let's connect the dots. With Russian troops on the move into Ukraine, world oil prices are rising. But why? Russia produces 17% of the world's natural gas, 12% of its oil, making it one of the world's biggest producers. And a lot of Russia's natural gas sales flow to Europe through pipelines that run through Ukraine. Experts say if sanctions target energy exports, it will quickly escalate global gas and oil prices, which will increase inflation here in the U.S. So how much will our gas prices go up? It's tough to say right now. There's a lot of factors that go into the price at the pump, like taxes and refining costs. But any rise in crude oil prices generally means we will end up paying more. And that is connecting the dots.
And here's the thing, folks. Already this morning, we are seeing that impact of the Russia attack. So far, oil prices have already jumped just this morning over 5%.
Hey, good morning. We do have some advisories. One advisory in effect, and that is a dense fog advisory in effect this morning. And that covers almost the entire area. So if you're heading out this morning, low beams in order, maybe a little bit of extra time because there's some dense fog in many locations across our part of the world. In fact, visibility right now is down to half a mile here in Charlotte, less than a quarter of a mile at Lancaster and Cheraw in South Carolina, as well as Wadesboro over in Anson County. Up around Statesville, some fog there, as well as Hickory and Lincoln. Shelby, and Gastonia. So it's a foggy morning out there. As we scan the skies locally, no rain, but you go to the mountains, definitely some shower activity north of here. Up Interstate 77, just north of Statesville, you get into Yadkin County, right there on the border of, say, Virginia, North Carolina, north of Mount Airy. Some pretty heavy rainfall around Sparta, over towards Boone, all the way down to areas around Caldwell and Burke County. It's going to zoom in and show what's going on. Some heavier rainfall, as you can see, once you get into areas in over towards Jefferson, West Jefferson, Ashe County, getting some pretty heavy rainfall there. Futurecast keeps all the rain north of here today. We'll see a few breaks in the clouds. In fact, once you get south of Charlotte, as you get into areas in South Carolina, especially on the I-20 corridor in that area, I wouldn't be surprised to see some high temperatures this afternoon into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees with a lack of cloud cover, a bit milder air mass over there. As far as some of the rainfall totals expected, about an inch or so at Jefferson, a little over half an inch at Boone. Not expecting much at all here locally. As far as rainfall over the next 5 days, here we go. It's really over the weekend on Sunday that we see the opportunity for some showers out there. Not a washout for the weekend, but certainly the potential for some rain and potentially just a crazy weather pattern over the next 10 days. We're up and down all over the place as far as high temperatures today. Right around the averages, so way above average tomorrow. And then look at the drop of the temperatures for the weekend, but a nice steady rise in those temperatures next week. In fact, by, say, the middle of next week, we're going to be close to the upper 60s and low 70s, unseasonably mild. Long-range futurecast would take you right through today. We've got a few spotty showers north of here today. In this evening, all that rain stays north of here. Then it's really Saturday night into Sunday. We see maybe a few showers. We're not expecting any severe weather, nothing heavy going on. We did make it to 65 degrees yesterday. There's your average high, 59 degrees this time of the year. Here we go today, near 60, 74 tomorrow, cooling down to 53 on Saturday. Sunday, a few showers. We're back to the mid 60s by the middle of next week. Well, if you're getting ready to be in the middle of traffic, there are some problems out there in addition to the fog. Let's get a check on there right now. Here's Chris.
Thanks a lot, Larry. I want to show you this camera again because it really gives you a better idea of what's happening right here on I-77. It's drivable. You can see in front of you, but we do have some visibilities that are much worse off because check across the area, seeing zeros in Anson County around Wadesboro, Chesterfield, and Cheraw at a zero as well, down to a quarter mile around Statesville, and you're also seeing some rain that is spreading across the mountains. So not a great drive, especially on some of the back roads. Most recent accident, I-77 northbound, that's near Sanford Road, just north thereof. Then we swing down to the south, crash at Westinghouse Boulevard at Brookford Street, and then last but not least, this one here in Chester County, Edgeland Road and Westbrook Road. Take it away, Ben.
How many times have you gotten a text or an email from your boss and you just feel compelled to respond or click any links that might be in the message? Well, a new scam is going to make you think twice about that. Tom Bartholomew with the Better Business Bureau joining us right now. All right, Tom, scammers are actually acting like your boss. This is a new level of sneaky.
It is. We'd seen this previously in pretty larger, complicated scams using emails. But now, as in most scams that have been happening recently, they've all switched to texting. And yeah, it can be a little alarming when you get a text from your boss. And so you reply, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, what do you need? And that's when it starts. Yeah, they're preying on your paranoia, wanting to be a good employee. So what's the best way to spot a fake? Basically, if you have your boss in your phone already as a contact, it should come up using that person's name. So if it comes up with an unfamiliar number, that can be a tell. I mean, once I saw this scam, I went out and looked at our BBB profile, and my cell phone was on there. So if you do get this type of thing, contact your boss directly, immediately, not through the number that they gave you, but through any other means, saying, hey, is this something that you really sent me? And what, to that point, what should you do if you do think that you've been scammed here? You've got to step back and you've got to say, even if it is your boss, look, I need to verify this. All right, bosses beware out there. Folks might be impersonating you, and maybe that's the reason your employees are not getting back to you. All right, Tom Bartholomew with the Better Business Bureau. Tom, thank you. Appreciate it. Sure thing, Ben.
Well, coming up after the break, diet and energy. If you're feeling a bit more tired than usual, we have the 6 foods you need to scale back on to give yourself a bit of an energy boost throughout the day.
And a bit later, attracting mosquitoes with your shirt? Our Verified team shows you how what color you're wearing could make a big impact and big difference this spring and summer.
Breaking news this morning. This is the scene in Ukraine's capital today. Massive lines of cars. You see the chopper there. You see the headlights from the cars there. People scrambling, trying to leave, catch a train, get out of the city as Russian troops launched a wide-ranging attack on Ukraine overnight. We'll have the very latest updates for you coming up in just a few minutes.
And now some stories to keep you and your family safe and sound. They say you are what you eat, and what you are eating might be making you tired.
So the National Sleep Foundation says your diet may be playing a big role in your energy levels. So researchers say there are 6 types of foods you should cut back on to boost your energy. First, avoid soda. All that sugar can give you a burst of energy, but then you're going to have an instant fall. Avoid those diet frozen meals and especially fast food burgers. Especially when it's a combo with the fries and the soda, which makes it good, right? Officials also say you should cut back on white bread, frozen yogurt, and frosted cereal.
It's a shame, because all those are so good.
I know.
A new study shows some younger people may have been actually happier during the lockdowns early in the pandemic. 1 in 3 people between the ages of 8 and 18 preferred lockdown, they say. Now, the interesting reasons behind it here, most kids say it was because they were able to avoid bullying. They were able to get more sleep and exercise, and they were able to build better relationships with their family and overall improve their mental health.
Well, some people may be excited to head back into the office. Others may be dreading it because of those daily office annoyances. A new survey asked people heading back to the office what the most annoying things that happen at the office are.
Okay.
The number 1, loud coworkers, aka Sarah. Followed by people coughing without covering their mouth, coworkers who come to work when they're sick, slow computers, and then IT issues round out the top 5, especially when you don't have an IT person.
Right.
That can really help.
Or when your coworkers are really loud.
I know. I try to bring the volume down, but when I get excited, I
know it happens.
I can't help it.
It happens.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Right now at 6:30, crisis in Ukraine. Russia begins its attack on the European country. This morning, the latest reaction from leaders around the world as Ukraine prepares for the worst.
And learning loss. This morning, North Carolina leaders will reveal just how bad the pandemic has impacted our children's education. A look to where they may be struggling.
And a new way to get around the Carolinas, why Governor Cooper is expected to visit the Queen City ahead of a big announcement. Wake Up Charlotte at 6:30 starts right now.
And now to the breaking news this morning, crisis in Ukraine. That is the terrifying sound happening this morning. An air raid siren rang out in Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv early this morning after the Russian invasion. Thousands fleeing the city even as we speak, trying to get to safety. Ukraine calling this a full-scale attack from multiple directions.
This morning, we're following the latest developments from overseas. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, we do want to send it over to Larry Sprinkle with a look at your local forecast. Larry?
Hey, good morning. Take a live view from Mr. Sparky Carolina Camera Network, Rock Hill, South Carolina. You can pretty much see the buildings uptown. There is some fog there. In fact, the entire region, pretty much a foggy morning. Visibility a little bit less than 2 miles at Rock Hill. Half-mile visibility at Charlotte, as well as Lincolnton and Shelby. You get over to those areas around Wadesboro down to Cheraw there in South Carolina. The visibility is less than a quarter of a mile. So be aware of that patchy, even dense fog out there this morning. We take a look at Futurecast. I think all the rain stays north of here today. We got the clear skies to the south of the Charlotte area, down towards Columbia and south of there. Hour for your morning by 9. We're about 60 degrees. We're about 58 at noontime. Slight chance of showers. Mid-50s right there in the middle of the afternoon. Mid-70s tomorrow before some cooler weather gets here for the weekend. We'll check that. But right now, a check on that Thursday morning commute. Here's Chris Mulcahy. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning to you, Larry. Right now, we're taking a quick look what's happening on I-77. This is moving southbound. That's northbound. Mile marker 81.8, or just near Fort Mill. Here's the newest incident that we have here on the map. We have a lane that's actually blocked due to this crash. Was I-85 southbound heading towards the city at W.T. Harris Boulevard. Keep that in mind. No slowdowns yet, but that could change, especially with the volume of traffic picking up at this time in the morning. Accident still here at I-77 southbound near Sanford Road. These are the two big accidents, but not really seeing any major issues as far as a change of our traffic flows. It's good news. Fingers crossed that keeps up. Watch for that fog, especially on the back roads. Ben?
Chris, thanks. Back to that breaking news of the morning. Russia launching attacks on multiple cities in Ukraine. Here are three things to know as you start your day. Number one, Ukrainian officials say Russia has launched several missiles targeting military control centers near the capital of Kyiv. It hit cities and bases with airstrikes and shelling. Ukraine calling this a full-scale attack from all directions, east, north, and south. Number two, Ukraine says the Russian attacks so far have killed 40 people. At this hour, it's unclear if any of those casualties include civilians. And it is important to note, folks, these numbers have not been independently confirmed. And number three, President Biden planning to impose even more severe sanctions against Russia today. He's planning to meet with other NATO and G7 leaders this morning as they vow to hold Russia accountable.
President Putin, in the name of humanity, bring your troops back.
Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring. And the United States and our allies and partners will respond in a united and decisive way. The world will hold Russia accountable.
And this morning, we're already seeing that. NATO beefing up forces along the region there between Ukraine and Russia.
Wake Up Charlotte's Ruby Durham joins us now. Ruby, you're getting a lot of reaction online you're seeing.
Yeah, especially from Senator Tom Tillis. That's number one. He's saying God bless Ukraine and its people, because many will face unspeakable danger because of what we're seeing. And especially when it comes to financial support and military equipment, he's saying that we must give that and punish Putin for starting this war and spilling innocent blood. Lindsey Graham also taking to social media saying prayers with Ukraine, and it is imperative that we continue to provide Ukraine with defensive weapons as well as good intelligence. So a lot of folks across the country are definitely hoping for the best when it comes to those in Ukraine. President Biden, obviously, we've been telling you that we're hoping for the latest with him, leaders of the G7 this morning, and also that support from him on how they continue to provide assistance to Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. So we'll definitely keep you updated. Ben?
Ruby, thanks. Time now 6:35. Turning to more of today's top stories in your morning rush. Today, North Carolina leaders will give an update on how this pandemic has impacted kids around the state.
Good Thursday morning. Today we'll get a preview of a report that's been put out by the state the higher education division of the North Carolina Institute of Public Instruction that will basically give us some details as to how COVID-19 has affected students and families in the state of North Carolina. This comprehensive report is scheduled to be released next week, but we'll get an idea of its methodology and some of the little nuggets that they found out, and also a way going forward that they say should help close those educational gaps that were caused by COVID-19.
CMS leaders will meet tonight to discuss its 2022-23 budget. The meeting will take place at 5 p.m. It's open to the public and will be live streamed on the CMS Board of Education's Facebook page.
Health officials in South Carolina are discussing new guidelines for COVID-19. Under new plans, schools may suspend the test to stay requirement or quarantines once they reach 2 continuous weeks with less than 10% positivity rates. South Carolina health officials say they are shifting towards an endemic response to the virus.
More masks are coming off around our area. Boone City Council members dropped the face mask requirement at last night's meeting. The new policy starts on March 7th. Meanwhile, Target is also lifting mask requirements for staff and customers. Masks will only be needed when local mandates require them. The changes start immediately.
According to the White House, President Biden plans to announce his nominee for the Supreme Court vacancy before the end of this month. He's spoken with federal judges Ketanji Brown Jackson, Michelle Childs, as well as California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger. While he was a presidential candidate, Biden pledged to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court for the first time in U.S. history. And that is it for your morning rush.
Today, Governor Cooper and Mayor Lyles will visit a new electric vehicle charging station being unveiled. This comes after the Biden administration allotted $5 billion in federal funds to build electric vehicle infrastructure, with North Carolina receiving up to $109 million. Wake Up Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard joins us live to give us more insight on the new project. So, Tradisha, how will it all work?
Well, the project utilizes Duke Energy-owned utility poles and curbside parking to provide community chargers to the residents. Now, they say the whole goal of this project is to create climate-friendly cars traveling from coast to coast. North Carolina is eligible to receive up to $109 million under President Biden's infrastructure law, allowing projects directly related to the charging of an electric vehicle. PoleVote is a public-private partnership that uses existing streetlights to provide curbside charging for drivers that do not have access to dedicated off-street parking. Right now, North Carolina currently has more than 1,500 miles of pending and ready EV corridors. But with additional funding provided under the bipartisan infrastructure law, North Carolina will have the opportunity to significantly expand EV chargers throughout the state. The new charging location will be at the Ritz off Washington Heights. They're also planning to hold a press conference today at 1:30. You can go to the city's Facebook page if you'd like to join that live and get more details about the new project. Reporting live near Uptown, Tradisha Woodard, Wake Up Charlotte.
All right, Larry, what is that one thing we need to know in weather?
One thing about the weather today, we got the fog, dense in some areas this morning, and the cooler afternoon with temperatures today right around 58 to near 61 degrees. Chris, what's the one thing we need to know about that commute this morning?
One thing to know, the biggest delay right here on I-85 southbound. This is a camera that's north of W.T. Harris Boulevard. You can see the flashing lights. The left lane is currently blocked as you're passing W.T. Harris Boulevard, so keep that in mind. Slow down I-85 southbound heading towards Charlotte.
Chris, thanks. After the break, tax cuts in the Palmetto State. South Carolina lawmakers on the verge of cutting income tax for millions of people. A look at the next steps the bill needs to take.
And bill blocked. South Carolina's fetal heartbeat bill is now stopped, but the bill's final decision is still up in the air.
And just a few weeks out from spring, attracting mosquitoes. How your shirt color could make the difference between protection and bites this summer.
And as we head to break, our team continues to seek solutions as gun thefts continue to rise around the Queen City. Here's what our team is working on, all new tonight at 11.
I'm Nate Morabito. Thieves stole more than 1,000 guns from cars in Charlotte alone last year.
Everyone thinks that they're not going to be a victim.
And a state law prevents police from holding irresponsible gun owners responsible in most cases.
North Carolina's law has a long way to go.
We are seeking solutions tonight at 11 on WCNC Charlotte.
We continue to follow breaking news over in Ukraine this morning after Russian troops began their attack on the country. A lot has happened overnight. According to Ukraine, at least 40 people are dead, and Ukraine has declared martial law in response to the attacks. President Biden is expected to announce more sanctions against Russia today. We'll make sure to bring you the latest updates as we learn more.
Governor Cooper addressing threats at HBCUs. Here's a look at that and other stories across the Carolinas.
Governor Cooper addressed problems historically black colleges and universities have been dealing with this year, including bomb threats and campus shootings. He plans to meet with students to talk about the difficulties they've faced in light of the problems on and off campus next week. Income tax cuts could be on the way for 1 million South Carolina workers. A proposal to cut state income taxes passed a key vote. It cuts the top income rate from 7% to 6.5%. It would also push all other taxpayers into a 3% bracket. The state Senate is still working on its own version of the bill. A federal appeals court has upheld the decision to block South Carolina's fetal heartbeat abortion bill. This affirming a lower court ruling made last year that stopped the law from being implemented, but a final decision will likely come later this year by the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's what's happening across the Carolinas.
This week, we've seen spring-like temperatures and rain, which means mosquitoes might not be too far behind. A new theory states the pesky bugs may be attracted to certain colors, but is that true? Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
The question, are mosquitoes attracted to certain colors? Let's verify. Our source is this article that appeared in Nature Communications. Jeff Riffle, one of the authors of the paper and a professor in the Department of Biology at the University of Washington, and Dr. Michael Rowe, a professor at NC State who studies insect toxicology. Professor Riffle says mosquitoes carry diseases that impact 1 billion people per year and cause the deaths of more than 1 million people per year. He says that's why his team started this study.
And so we wanted to really take a close look and see, can we understand their vision a little bit more? And if we do understand their vision, can we actually utilize that?
The study found mosquitoes are most attracted to the colors black, aqua, red, and orange. Black is due to the environments they like to be in.
Mosquitoes really like dark black colors, and what it might indicate is that they are really sensitive to desiccation or losing water, and so they want to find dark, shady areas to rest.
The reason they love red and orange is because that's what human skin looks like to them.
No matter what your skin tone or how dark or light you are, we are, dominantly reflecting the orange and red from our skin.
The reason for mosquitoes liking aqua is still a mystery to Riffle. The study also found mosquitoes are only attracted to certain colors when the presence of carbon dioxide is around. Because humans breathe that out, it then attracts the mosquitoes to us.
The only time they showed a preference is that if they first detected or smelled the carbon dioxide from our breath.
Some people feel like, I'm like a mosquito magnet. That's because they smell good to mosquitoes.
So we can verify that, yes, mosquitoes are attracted to certain colors.
While mosquitoes are always going to be attracted to our skin, try wearing purple or green clothing to try and keep them away since they aren't as attracted to those colors. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Not what you like to see. We mentioned this accident on I-85 southbound. We'll check it out. We are seeing it now in person. Flashing arrows telling everyone to get to the right. The left 2 lanes are blocked, so that means half the highway is shut down here on I-85 southbound. Right around W.T. Harris Boulevard, completely blocked off because of this accident. You can see traffic is just slithering by at a snail's pace. Right now, average speed all the way to 485, 18 miles per hour. This is currently blocked southbound between Mallard Creek Church Road and W.T. Harris Boulevard. That's right around exit 45 if you keep track of the numbers. But look at how big this backup is. Now almost completely past 485, about 2.5 miles. This is going to be the big issue as you're heading out the door right now. About a 10-minute delay if you're driving in from Concord. But I can see that increasing as we continue. Larry?
It is a foggy morning. In fact, we do have a dense fog advisory in effect this morning for almost the entire area. So be aware that it's a patchy and dense fog. We'll show you exactly what's going on. As far as the weather picture this morning, foggy conditions where it's half-mile visibility in the Queen City. Over around Rockingham, less than a quarter of a mile. Places like Wadesboro, Sherrall, Lancaster, Chester, up to Lincoln, Gastonia, Shelby getting some foggy conditions this morning. As we take a look at the radar shot, everything is really north of here, north of Interstate 40, especially in the North Carolina mountains. They could get maybe another inch of rain at Jefferson, about a half an inch at Boone. The rest of the region not expecting much of a chance of rain at all today. Here's what it looks as far as our weather picture. Very cold air in place north of this frontal boundary, this warm front you can see draped just to the south of us, pretty close to Columbia. From Columbia south, it is going to be a very warm day today. In fact, almost summer-like in some spots. Check it out. High today in Augusta, Georgia. Tops out about 85. 82 at Charleston in South Carolina. 80 at Columbia. Then, once you get north of that frontal boundary, much cooler. 46 the high at Greensboro, 51 at Raleigh, upper 50s, maybe near 60 in the Queen City. Check the 7-day forecast. For today, we're looking at a high near 60. It's going to be a warm day tomorrow, low to mid 70s for the weekend. A little bit of a cool down. High, in fact, only about 53 on Saturday. Sunday, there is a chance of rain. Not a complete washout. Will be around 59 degrees, about the same on Monday. And then look at next Wednesday. Look for temperatures in the mid 60s next Wednesday. Well, a big shout out to Coltrane Webb Elementary School over in Concord. Had a chance to visit there yesterday. By the way, this is the second oldest school in Concord. A great school. Had a chance to talk to all these kindergarten kids right there. They were a fantastic group. I tell you, it may be one of the best kindergarten groups I've ever spoken to. They had lots of great questions and answers. We talked a lot about severe weather. We talked about gale force winds and tornadoes. Did a little tornado instruction there. But thanks to Jennifer Peterson, all the teachers and the staff there. there. And all those kindergarten kids, they were a great group. Look at that right there. I tell you, I love being there. They were fantastic, very intelligent group, very smart, way above that kindergarten level. You know, future meteorologists right there. Ben?
Perfect. All right. Larry, thanks. Coming up, crisis in Ukraine. We'll bring you the very latest developments as Russia continues its attack on Ukraine.
And COVID impacts. A look at how serious the COVID pandemic has been for our students around the Carolinas. Welcome back to Wake Up Charlotte, a live look over Lake Norman on this Thursday morning. Larry's going to have a final look at your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. Breaking news this morning as Russian troops assault Ukraine. Russia says its only goal is to neutralize Ukraine's military capacity. That's what Putin is saying. World leaders, though, condemning the attack.
I'm Bree Jackson in Washington. Ukraine under attack from Russia this morning. Explosions were heard in major cities, including Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. President Biden will speak with G7 leaders to discuss severe sanctions on Russia and is expected to deliver remarks later today.
Good Thursday morning. Today, we should learn about the methodology behind a comprehensive report by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction that is looking into how COVID-19 has affected schools in our state, and also a plan on how we should move forward as far as trying to close the gaps caused by COVID-19.
Good morning. I'm Tradisha Woodard. Today, Governor Cooper and Mayor Lyles will visit a new electric vehicle charging station being unveiled today. Now, this comes after the Biden administration allotted $5 billion in federal funds to build electric vehicle infrastructure, with North Carolina receiving up to $109 million. The new charging station will be at the Ritz off Washington Heights, and they'll have a press conference today at 1:30 on the city's Facebook page highlighting the project.
A man accused of a double murder in Rock Hill over 2 years ago is expected to be in court this morning. The York County Sheriff's Office says Jamar Neely shot and killed two men off Rivercrest Road back in 2019. Deputies also say Neely shot at them when they attempted to pull him over and arrest him later that day. Neely is facing several charges, including murder and attempted murder.
This is now a 3-mile backup on I-85. 2 lanes blocked. As you can see, traffic just slithering along. These are the left lanes, I-85 southbound, due to an accident. They even have the flashing arrow directing everyone to the right. So keep that in mind. This is located right here around W.T. Harris Boulevard on I-85 southbound. Right now, about a 15-minute delay at least if you're driving from Concord or Kannapolis, just to name a couple.
A mostly cloudy day today, near 60, but a nice warm day tomorrow. Sunshine at 74, cooling down. We go from 74 to 53 on Saturday. A few showers on Sunday. And it looks like by the middle of next week, at least we're back into temperatures above average, into the mid-60s. But 74 tomorrow will be beautiful.
All right, folks, we want to leave you with a reason to smile on this Thursday before we let you go. The teachers at Bethel Elementary are giving their students some inspiration during Black History Month. Check out these cool decorated doors the kids see when they walk into class every day, inspiring quotes and achievements from prominent African Americans. Ben, Sarah?
I love that.
Very nice, very nice. The Today Show has crews on the ground in Ukraine and Russia. Complete coverage coming your way right here on WCNC Charlotte.
Have a great day, everybody.